You've been watching your diet. You cut out soda. You stopped eating candy. You barely even touch bread anymore. And yet, you go to your doctor, and there it is. Your blood sugar is still high. And you're sitting there thinking, how is this even possible? If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. Millions of seniors across America are dealing with this exact same frustration. And the answer is something that most doctors just don't take enough time to explain. So today, we're going to fix that. We're going to walk through exactly why your blood sugar can be high, even when you're not eating sugar. And more importantly, what you can actually do about it. So stick with me here, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand your own body in a way that is going to completely change how you think about your health. Let's start with the biggest surprise most people never hear about. Your liver makes sugar. Yes, your own liver. Even when you haven't eaten a single sweet thing in days, your liver is quietly producing glucose and releasing it into your bloodstream. This process is called gluconeogenesis, which is just a fancy medical word that means your body is literally manufacturing sugar from scratch, using things like protein and fat that are already stored in your body. Now, in a healthy person, insulin comes along and signals the liver to stop when there's already enough sugar in the blood. But here's the problem. As we get older, and especially for people who have been dealing with blood sugar issues for a while, that signal gets weaker. The liver doesn't always listen. It keeps pumping out glucose even when it shouldn't. And so your blood sugar goes up, even on an empty stomach, even first thing in the morning, before you've had a single bite of food. That's why so many seniors wake up and check their blood sugar and see numbers they don't expect. It's not because you ate something wrong the night before. It's because your liver was working all night long, doing exactly what it thought it was supposed to do. Now, here's something else that might surprise you. Stress raises your blood sugar. And I don't just mean the emotional kind of stress, though that absolutely counts too. I mean physical stress. Pain raises blood sugar. A cold or an infection raises blood sugar. Even a bad night's sleep can push your numbers up the very next morning. Here's why. When your body is under any kind of stress, physical or emotional, it releases hormones. The two big ones are cortisol and adrenaline. Now, you may have heard of these as the fight or flight hormones. And what they do is they tell your body to release stored energy fast, because your body thinks you might need to run from danger. That stored energy, it comes out as glucose. For our ancestors who actually were running from predators, that was a lifesaver. But for us, sitting in traffic or lying awake worrying about a doctor's appointment or dealing with aches and pains in our knees or our back, that same hormone response just sends our blood sugar climbing for no good reason. And the sleep part is a big one that people really underestimate. Studies have shown that even 1 or 2 nights of poor sleep can make your body significantly less responsive to insulin. So if you're waking up frequently at night, or you're having trouble falling asleep, that could absolutely be showing up in your blood sugar readings the next day. Now let's talk about something that most people really don't expect. Certain foods that don't taste sweet at all can still spike your blood sugar dramatically. White rice, white bread, crackers, potatoes, corn, pasta. These are all foods that break down into glucose very quickly in your body, often just as fast as straight-up sugar does. The technical term for this is the glycemic index. It's basically a measure of how fast a food raises your blood sugar. And here's the thing. Some of these foods have a glycemic index just as high as table sugar. So if you've been avoiding dessert and soda, but you're still eating a lot of white bread or white rice, your blood sugar doesn't know the difference. This catches a lot of seniors off guard, especially people who grew up being told that bread and potatoes were just basic, healthy, everyday foods. And they can be, but the way you eat them and how much you eat at once makes an enormous difference. Now, let's talk about something called insulin resistance, because this is really at the heart of why blood sugar becomes such a stubborn problem for so many of us as we age. Insulin is like a key. It's supposed to unlock the doors to your cells so that glucose can get inside and be used for energy. But over time, especially as we get older, and especially if we've carried extra weight around the midsection, those locks can get rusty. The key doesn't work as well. So insulin is still there, trying to do its job, but the glucose can't get into the cells properly. Instead, it stays in the bloodstream, and your pancreas, trying to fix the problem, pumps out even more insulin. But if the resistance is strong enough, it's just not enough to bring those numbers down. This is one of the reasons why blood sugar problems tend to get more complicated as we get older. It's not that you've done something terribly wrong. It's that your body's systems have changed, and what worked for you at 50 doesn't necessarily work the same way at 70. Here's another one that really surprises people: medications. Certain medications that seniors commonly take can raise blood sugar as a side effect. Steroids are a very common one. Prednisone, for example, which is often prescribed for inflammation, allergies, asthma, or joint pain, can cause significant blood sugar spikes. Some blood pressure medications, particularly a type called thiazide diuretics, can also affect blood sugar. Even some antidepressants and antipsychotic medications have been linked to higher glucose levels. This doesn't mean you should stop taking any medication without talking to your doctor. Please don't do that. But it does mean that if your blood sugar has been creeping up and you've recently started a new medication, that conversation with your doctor is absolutely worth having. There may be alternative medications or adjustments that can be made that would be much better for your blood sugar. And while we're talking about things that affect blood sugar that have nothing to do with eating sugar, let's talk about muscle. This one is so important, and it's one that I really want you to hear. Muscle is one of the most important tools your body has for managing blood sugar. When you have more muscle, your body uses glucose more efficiently. Your cells are more sensitive to insulin. But here's the tough part. As we age, we naturally lose muscle mass. It starts happening in our 40s, and it continues as we get older. And unless we actively work to maintain muscle, this process quietly makes blood sugar control harder and harder over time. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm not in my 20s. I'm not going to be lifting heavy weights at the gym. And that's completely fine. You don't need to. Even gentle resistance exercise, things like using light hand weights, doing chair exercises, using resistance bands, can make a real difference in how your body handles blood sugar. Even walking, done consistently, helps preserve muscle and improves insulin sensitivity. The research on this is really consistent. Seniors who stay even moderately active have significantly better blood sugar control than those who are sedentary, regardless of what they're eating. So if you take nothing else from this video, please take this. Moving your body every day is one of the most powerful things you can do for your blood sugar, and you don't have to do anything extreme to make a real difference. Now, let's pull all of this together, because I want you to leave today with a clear picture of what's actually going on in your body. Your blood sugar can be high for many reasons that have nothing to do with eating sugar. Your liver might be producing too much glucose on its own. Stress and poor sleep could be pushing your numbers up through your hormones. The foods you're eating, even foods that don't taste sweet, might be converting to glucose faster than you realize. Insulin resistance means your cells aren't using glucose the way they should. Certain medications can raise blood sugar as a side effect. And losing muscle mass over time makes it harder and harder for your body to regulate glucose efficiently. Understanding all of this doesn't just help you make sense of your numbers. It actually puts you in a much stronger position when you talk to your doctor. Because now, you're not just saying, "My blood sugar is high and I don't know why." Now you can have a real conversation. You can ask about stress and sleep and medications and exercise and diet in a way that gets to the root of what's actually happening for you specifically. And here's the really hopeful part. Every single one of these factors is something that can be influenced. You can work on sleep. You can manage stress. You can make small, smart changes to what you eat and how you move. You can have better conversations with your doctor about your medications. None of this requires perfection. It just requires understanding. You've already taken a great step today just by watching this video. This kind of knowledge is genuinely powerful, and you deserve to have it. If this was helpful to you, please hit that subscribe button right now. Because every week, we cover topics just like this. Health information that's real, that's practical, and that's made specifically for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. There's so much more we're going to cover together, and I don't want you to miss a single one. And if you have a question, or if there's a health topic you'd like us to cover, drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Take care of yourself, stay curious, and I will see you in the next video.